After a bombshell week in Washington, Donald Trump tries to recover from his Russia problem by showcasing his hypocrisy on world religion. That and fresh off the boat's Randall Park at the APAICS dinner, also known as the Asian Prom. And an American Samoan for president? President Rock? That's next on Emil Amok's Takeout. Hi, everyone. And welcome to what I like to call Emil Amok's Takeout. We serve it, you take it out. Forms the acronym EAT, and it is time to eat. My takes on all things about race, society, politics, and diversity, and everything those things touch in our culture and society, with respect to Asian Americans. And you don't have to be Asian American to lend us your ears. It's your minds we want. I'm Emil Guillermo, your host, a real journalist with Real Journalism Awards. Now you might say, why Amok, Emil? Well, the short story is, for nearly 15 years, my Emil Amok column was a staple of AsianWeek, what was once the leading Asian American weekly in English in America. Amok was the name of my compilation of essays, which won an American Book Award. And Amok, it's my middle name on my driver's license. Not indicative of my mental state. It's also the name of my solo show, a one-man theatrical performance, sort of like Ferdinand Marcos meets Spalding Gray. Its premiere is at the San Diego International Fringe Festival, June 23rd through 28th. That's right, San Diego International Fringe Festival, the 23rd through 28th of June. Check it out if you're close. And now, the Amok column is home based on the website of the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund blog. That's at ALDEF, AALDEF.org/blog. Check it out, and if you like what you see and hear, ALDEF is a 501c3. Go to the donate button. It's tax deductible. On this episode, Randall Park, the fresh off the boat star. The guy with the success perm. Louis Wong. And really the face of Asian America in movies that are high on comedy and low on martial arts. Major studio releases like Trainwreck, The Interview, shows like Love on Netflix. I mean, Randall Park, he's everywhere. He's Governor Danny Chung in Veep. You know, I talked to him at the so-called Asian Prom, the APAICS dinner. That's coming up on our show. Okay, if you haven't guessed, I just got back from Washington, D.C., and no, my arms aren't tired, but they dragged me around on the airplane. No, they didn't drag me around on the airplane, but, you know, I was on this plane, 2 hours on the tarmac. We were delayed. It was, you know, they're not perfect, these airlines, but they did not force me off. Nothing like that happened. So I guess I'm ahead. Now, in Washington, D.C., I saw some good friends. Phil Tajitsu Nash, his wife Emmy, Theo Gonzalez, and his wife Charita. A great time had by all there in D.C. I was there to give 2 speeches for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and I'll have more on that in a moment. But boy, what a week it was to be in Washington. I mean, when I got there, the weather was pleasant. It was sort of unseasonably cool, and then it warmed up, and then it really warmed up with the news. One jaw-dropper after another. You know, Trump sharing secrets with the Russians, as if the Comey firing to try to stop the investigation into the whole Russian connection thing wasn't incendiary enough. Oh, but the hits just kept on coming. Trump then asserted his right to share those secrets with Russia, even though it did compromise an ally, Israel. And then Trump said he asked Comey to drop the Russian probe, bringing up the possibility of obstruction of justice, an impeachable offense. And then the news of the appointment of a special counsel to look into the federal investigation into Russia's alleged interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election and the possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. I mean, it was bang, 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 bang. Too much. And, you know, you have to wonder, is it the beginning of the end of the Trump administration that seems hell-bent to turn democracy into a corporate phenomenon that enriches the 1% and tosses the 99% overboard? Look, any impeachment talk really is premature, and even if Trump were impeached, getting him out of office is another matter. I mean, look at Bill Clinton. He was impeached and managed to hang in there. So, no, the distressing news is that the cloud only got darker for the U.S. and this president, and the possibility of doing anything substantive as far as legislative matters is really getting more and more unlikely. So here we have the least qualified president, and who is now the least popular president in recent history. And now with an investigation that can literally look at all the wrongdoing, I mean, it's hard to imagine Trump will be able to do anything beyond his often wrong-headed temporary executive orders that end up being make work for everyone. And this is America, once the proud superpower, now led by a dim-witted narcissist with no clue how to govern. America run as a business? I mean, that's what people thought they wanted, maybe. Never made sense to me. And now it seems that Trump is turning his sights to an economic plan that will do more to help corporate interests and enrich the 1% of the country while throwing the 99% overboard. This is the example being set by the president of the free world, right? He's making the U.S. look more like the Philippines, where the elite rule and the interests of the people are subverted for corporate and personal gain. We always have been saying how the Philippines democracy was built in the image of the U.S., after being a colony of the U.S. Now Trump has made it easy for Filipino elites to justify how democracy looks like in the Philippines. It's exactly how Trump wants to change America, where we look like the Philippines. That can't be good. Oh, by the way, just to make it interesting, you know, the Philippines leader, Rodrigo Duterte, is visiting Russia this week to meet with his favorite, Vladimir Putin. I wonder if they'll talk about their good buddy, Mr. Trump. Meanwhile, Trump is in Saudi Arabia, then Israel, then Rome, and the Vatican. It's the World Religions 101 tour. And right off the bat, to me, it seems a tad hypocritical to see Trump go to all the Arab states or go to Saudi Arabia after his extremely Islamophobic campaign. But what I find interesting is he's not talking human rights or spreading democracy. He says he's looking for partners, not perfection. Oh, so he's trying to make a deal. But if it's not based on principles and values that put human rights, democracy, rule of law above it all, what's it worth? Trump's looking for a shortcut. He's compromising to try to get that deal for himself because he wants a win, to look good. But his approach is only good for short-term gain and not a lasting one. What do you expect? On-the-job training for president is hard when you don't know anything and aren't really into it. I just hope he doesn't set us back any further in the Middle East than we already are. As I said, I was in Washington to give 2 speeches on Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, because who else celebrates Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month but the government? I mean, it's a public law. They've got to do it, to set a good example for the employees. So they have money for speakers and hula dancers and take out sushi most of the time. So one speech was at the Army National Guard headquarters at Arlington, Virginia, and it was really a very, very nice event. I met an incredible group of Guard members, men and women, and they told me they would introduce me to the guy in charge of the AAPI event. I was told it was Colonel McCraig, and I thought, okay, here's some tall white guy I've got to deal with. And then I meet him, and I see on his uniform, it's not McCraig, it's Macareg. He's Filipino! Kababayan! Oh, it was a love fest from there on. It was like Old Home Month. No, it was great. Colonel Roy Macareg from the Hawaii National Guard got to the main headquarters in Arlington, is now the comptroller of the whole thing. Was quite a guy, very welcoming. And, it struck me that this must be what it's like for that, when people say the old boy network, and how it works, where people go to the same schools or, they see each other and they relate, where a person walks into a strange place and sees someone who looks like him and then is relaxed because he feels comfortable and accepted. I mean, this is the way it should be for everyone, right? But, for me, it was funny. I went in, I wasn't feeling particularly comfortable because I didn't quite know what I was getting into, speaking to the Army National Guard. And then I see a Filipino in charge, and it totally relaxed me. So I was able to give a great speech. Now, we just need more Asians and Filipinos in charge. But things are changing. I gave a talk about how Asian Americans became 21 million strong and will in fact keep growing to be bigger than even the Latino community by 2065. And then among the other things I talked about Asian American heroes like Wong Kim Ark, the patron saint of birthright citizenship. I mean, I'll put some links on the ALDEF blog or also on the podcast blog, so you can access some of the things I've written about that phenomenon, about how Asian Americans are going to grow to, well, they're going to be bigger than the Latinos in 2065 and grow even bigger than 21 million strong that where they stand today, and also on the Wong Kim Ark story. Because you got to know these things. If you got to know anything for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So a good time at the Army National Guard. I found out about the difference between, the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard, and that, in fact, the Army National Guard, those folks get deployed too. And it's a pretty good career for those considering the military. So I had a good time there. I also talked to the BBG. If you ever heard of the BBG, it's the Broadcast Board of Governors, which is the governing body of the Voice of America. Great crowd over there. Spoke in the briefing room, about 75 people or so. And I met the nicest international journalists from the Kimmer Service, the group that covers Southeast Asia, especially Reese Poch. Reese is the Walter Cronkite of the Kimmer Service. Very famous in the Southeast because he's the voice of America there. He showed me around. I also met Kilo Chow and Sofat and Kim Sang and Moni, all great hosts, all great audience members. And what struck me there is that many of them were post-80s immigrants. The civil rights stories were mostly all new to them. They didn't know who Wong Kim Ark was. They didn't know about the immigration law of 1965 that allowed for immigration after decades of racist quotas limiting Asian immigration. I mean, and then I thought to myself, this is why we have AAPI Heritage Month. Even AAPIs need a month to catch up with unlearned history. Finally, the Asian Prom. That's what they call the big gala for the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies, also known as APAICS, right? It's in the same room at the Washington Hilton as the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Hence, that's called the Nerd Prom. Hence, this is the Asian Prom with a room full of Asians. Why not? Some of whom were dressed up to the... the women were dressed up in ball gowns, and there were some guys in tuxes. It was quite an event. It was on a Tuesday after the news broke about Trump sharing secrets with the Russians, and there was some buzz. Not much on the record, though. But there was buzz about the fresh-off-the-boat star, Randall Park. Now, I'll admit I'm partial to his co-star Constance Wu, but I've long been a fan of Randall, and it was good to meet him. The guy just works. Meaning that he's in everything. There are other guys, too, like John Cho of Harold and Kumar fame, and there's Ken Jeong, who, incidentally, is Dr. Ken show, unfortunately canceled by ABC. But Ken isn't going to go away. He will be back. So a shout-out to Ken Jeong. But Randall, I see him pop up everywhere. He's on Veep on HBO. He's on that series Love on Netflix. Now you ought to binge on that. That's an interesting show. Of course, he was on in Trainwreck. And I'm happy that he's getting all the face time, because he really is the face of Asian America in many ways. I told him in the 70s that I had been on the Lampoon and gave the funny speech, and I thought about going into acting, for just a second, and then thought better and went into TV news instead. A lower form of showbiz, but still journalism. And now, almost 2 generations later, things are changing. And that's great. I think it's great for the young guys. And I always thought if I was going to go into acting, maybe I'd be like Victor Wong. Remember him from The Last Emperor? I knew Victor when I was a high school kid. He was a photographer for the public broadcasting station in San Francisco, KQED. And, Victor was this artist type who he did photography, but he also was an actor, and he became one of the great character actors in the 80s and 90s. He was in Joy Luck Club, I believe. He was also in a number of, The Last Emperor, I think he was in. He was in a lot of movies. Victor Wong. See, there's longevity if you're Asian. You gotta just stick it out. But now these young guys are getting their face time, and like I said, I was able to corral Randall Park. It's before the dinner. It's a little noisy, but check it out. I am really happy to have corralled you. I've been trying to find, I missed you at one of those AAJ things in LA.
Yeah.
More subtle than this.
Yes, this is, I walked in here, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was this big an event. This is huge.
Yeah, well, you're huge too, and you're the centerpiece here. So why was it important to come to this tonight?
I knew a little bit about the organization and the event. I knew it was a big deal and a real honor. So I was just very honored that they asked me that they offered me an award.
You are too humble.
But now that I'm here, I'm like, whoa, I'm like really honored. This is like huge,
Well, you are on a network series. You've been on movies. You're the face, and for us Asian male.
There's a lot of faces. I'm one of them.
But you're prominent and you're funny. You're a funny guy. So
thanks.
that's So what do you feel is your responsibility from your perch? What do you think
perch.
Well, because I know you're an activist at heart, and I know that you want to give back. So what do you feel? What's driving you to give back?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't consciously think about it too much because I feel like it's such a part of me. It's in me. The community and Asian American studies has always been a part of my life, so it always guides me, and for me it's like I just want to do good work and I want to have fun, and to me it's fun to be a part of projects that are groundbreaking. It's fun to represent my community in a positive way. That's fun, so I try to pursue that as much as possible.
How about as far as things are changing? Like when I was when I was thinking about going into acting, I said, no, I can't do it. So I went into journalism.
Yeah, you can. You got a good face.
Well,
you're a handsome guy.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered. Coming from you.
And you have a great voice.
Well, look, coming from you, look, I'm telling you.
You could have done it.
Well, this was in the 70s, and I wasn't getting...
The 70s was, it's still tough, but the 70s was definitely
But things are changing.
Yes.
You and Ken and others are leading the way.
Yeah.
Is it changing enough, do you think?
No, it needs to change faster. But it's the industry has a long history that we're trying to kind of overcome. It has a tradition of. It's a systemic issue. So change doesn't come quick in those cases. It takes time, and it takes not just me, obviously, but a lot of us kind of chipping away at it together, including yourself. You're a part of that as a reporter. Just the fact that you're here interviewing me is such a part. It's definitely playing a part in it, and I think as a community as a whole, just as the kind of level of consciousness raises, pertaining to these issues, I think we're making moves for sure. But it does take time.
Well, it seems like a group of you guys get in with the Judd Apatow crowd, and then that's sort of like the end. But are you putting bugs into his ear about things that he should be doing, about things that you should be developing that are Asian American, or how does that come up, or is it even relevant?
Oh, I'm not really putting bugs in his ear specifically, but I'm definitely moving towards a direction now, especially with the show doing well, and we're going on to our 4th season. I started out as a writer, and that's what I love to do, and that's how I got into acting, was through writing. So now I'm getting to a place where I want to write. I want to write more. I want to create projects, and I'd say the past year I've been active in doing that. And again, things take time in this industry, so in due time these things will come to fruition. Some of them will, some of them won't, but it's definitely my goal now to create more.
Right. So because they're saying that's the next step. The actors win, but the producers, the people behind,
exactly.
And that's sort of okay. All right. Yeah. Look, thank you very much. It's a pleasure meeting you.
So great meeting you.
That's Randall Park, the fresh off the boat star before the dinner. Here's what he had to say in his speech. He talked about the struggles of a young actor and the stereotypical role he played in commercials.
I played a lot of doctors and IT guys in these commercials, and I would work for any brand. I would do a commercial for Verizon one year, and the next year I'd do AT&T. I had no loyalty. Sorry, Verizon. Sorry. Because I needed the money, I even one year did a commercial for KY Jelly that ran a few years. My parents were very proud of that one. But it was during these early commercial years where I saw firsthand what I was up against as a person of color, as a minority in this industry. I'll tell you the story. One day I showed up to this audition for, I think it was FedEx, and the waiting room was just packed with actors, just packed like sardines.
And it was men, women, all different ethnicities, shapes, and sizes. And I remember the waiting room was just really loud and really hot, and we were all just sitting there, sweating, just waiting for our name to be called for hours. It was very unorganized, and everyone was getting pissed off. But we all stayed, because the mere chance of booking a national FedEx commercial was worth it. So, in an attempt to kind of bring some order to the chaos, the casting director came out and decided to split everyone up in the room by the roles that we were auditioning for. So she grabbed a megaphone and she said, okay, I want everybody auditioning for the role of Jeremy to go on the right side of the room, and everyone auditioning for the role of coworker to go on the left side of the room. And so that's what we did. And that's when I looked up and I noticed that everyone on the right side of the room were all the white guys. And everyone on the left side of the room was everybody else. And I never saw it so clearly right in front of me. This is what I was up against. They get the opportunity to play Jeremy, the hero, with a name. We get the opportunity to play coworker. And of course, Jeremy had all the lines, and coworker had like a line. And we were basically set dressing for Jeremy's story. And this was the norm back then. But throughout the years in my career, I would see it over and over and over again. And despite a lot of progress, it's still the norm right now. And this is why I'm so proud to be on a show like Fresh Off the Boat. Because we get to tell stories from our perspective. We get to be the lead. We get to be the Jeremys. And this is why I'm so honored to get this award today from a group like APAICS. So let's just keep working together. Let's keep supporting one another within and outside of our community. And let's be the change that we want to see. Because the goal for all of us, for each and every one of us, whether we're here in DC or in Hollywood, it's simple. It's just to be recognized and appreciated as a human being with a name. Not just coworker, or IT guy, or KY jelly guy. So again, I thank you all. Thank you, APAICS, for this honor, and I thank you all for your support. I love you guys. Thank you.
That's Randall Park, the Fresh Off the Boat star. He did not have his success perm. He was normal. He looked normal. He won the Vision Award at the APAICS Gala event in Washington, also known as the Asian Prom. Speaking of proms, I did see Michelle Lee of the Washington Post, and she looked like she was dressed for a prom, wearing a flattering new short hairdo, a.k.a. House of Cards Robin Wright. Michelle is one of the best no-nonsense journalists around, writing as the fact-checker for the Post in that fact-checker column. Really, and I praise her for the work she's done over the campaign and over the last few months, so it was good to see her. One thing I didn't ask Randall was whether he was going to run for anything, like public office. I mean, he plays a governor in Veep, but it just didn't come up. Oddly, the cover boy of the Conservative National Review this month is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And guess what? He's actually thinking about running. I mean, the National Review article makes the case for how we, America, needs The Rock. It's funny, one of the jokes I told the audiences where I spoke was, well, thank you for having me. I know you could have had The Rock here, a real Pacific Islander, but you're stuck with me. Smaller, but with hair. Now, the National Review is suggesting The Rock would make a great president. He is a Republican, so he fits in with the National Review. But he's popular, and he does fit into that Republican strategy of attracting people of color, which was originally the plan until Trump happened. A few months ago, Michael Moore opined that maybe Democrats should elect someone popular to compete with the madness of a reality show star having the vote appeal to actually win the presidency. And usually the name that gets thrown around is Oprah. But then there was Saturday Night Live, and they just went the next step. Did you see it? There was The Rock, and they were joking around. The Rock and Tom Hanks, Johnson Hanks 2020. I mean, joke? I mean, sure, but maybe not. I mean, Tom Hanks said he'd get the senior vote because he fought in World War II in 10 different movies. And The Rock said, I, of course, will get the minority vote because everyone just assumes I'm, well, whatever they are. Now that got a big laugh. When it comes to politics, we need more poise and less noise, said The Rock. And then the banner unfurled, Johnson Hanks 2020. Look, celebrities are America's royalty, so maybe it's not so far-fetched, especially after Trump, when nothing's a joke anymore. But think of that, an AAPI president, where the PI is the man. Is there a bigger star than The Rock? And that's our program for today. We're on iTunes. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Tell your friends about the show and share a link. You can contact me on Twitter @EmilAmok, or go to the ALDEF blog at www.aldef.org/blog and give us your feedback on www.amok.com. You can even leave a message on SpeakPipe. You don't need a phone. If it's audible, we'll use it, just like in talk radio. And if you like what we do, share the link. Tell a friend. Go to the ALDEF blog and hit the donate button, if you're so moved, aldef.org/blog. ALDEF, by the way, is a 501c3, and your help is tax deductible. More next time. Thanks again for listening this time to Emil Amok's Takeout. I'm Emil Guillermo.